ideas and philosophies of yoga. So bear with me. Okay, so this video was inspired by a conversation that I had with a girlfriend of mine recently. We were discussing how all of a sudden, now that we're in our late 20s, we've started to really own our bodies and, dare I say it, feel sexy. We've really got to know who we are as people, our character, the way we feel with our bodies. So that's not to say that we've just totally accepted all the things we first thought of as flaws, but we work with them. And we discussed how in our teenage years, how utterly miserable they had been, especially in the way that we viewed our bodies and the way we expected to be treated by men during that phase of our lives. So this video is very much about, I hope, creating an open dialogue where young people, anybody, any age, can come and have an understanding from a yogic philosophy, spiritual context about sex. And I really want to be somebody within the realm of discussing sex that is a positive sort of influence and an example on the internet of how I personally think sex should be talked about. And before I do launch into the sort of the body of it, no pun intended, into the real discussion here, I would just like to reiterate, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I am not a psychologist, I'm not a nurse or a doctor, I'm a yoga teacher. So you do need to, obviously by all means feel free to listen to this video, but it's not the gospel, okay? And if you do have any problems or any real issues surrounding sex, then I really urge you to go seek out professional help. Don't sit in silence, okay? Okay. So, I would like you to think about energy. An entire world is based upon the transfer and exchange of energy. Energy is neither destroyed and it is neither created. From the moment the sun shines, light is absorbed by leaves via photosynthesis, which creates growth, fruit and vegetable production within plants, which then gets eaten by animals, and it works up the system. And the oldest energy system, one of the oldest energy systems I should say, in the world is sex. It is sexual energy, and it is, for want of a better phrase, a transaction. It is an exchange between traditionally a male and a female, which has just reminded me. I am going to be framing this video from a heterosexual perspective because that's my experiences, but I would like to reiterate, this is not excluding anybody and their sexual preferences, so please don't go away just because you think this is straight talking. This is for everybody, okay? So sex is primal. It is the most ancient, oldest energy, and I'd like you to think about this. Whilst we can have intimacy and proximity in relation to bodies being together, have you ever thought about the energy exchange between, and again, sorry about the heterosexual example here, but between a man and a woman? So there's a bit of a funny tongue-in-cheek phrase, and a man goes from a roaring lion to a dead dog once he's, and a woman absorbs that. She takes on that energy, and obviously the end result is man-woman makes a baby from a purely biological sense. So now I'd like you to think of, have you had or are you having any situations within your life where that energy exchange is purely perfunctory? There is no connection, no deep-seated alignment with you two. It is purely a physical transaction. Now, I'm not saying promiscuity, multiple partners, is a bad thing. It is a life choice, and who am I to sit here and judge a life choice? But from a yogic perspective, I'd like you to evaluate how those interactions make you feel. And this is the point that I'm trying to make. We live in such an overly sexualised society. You only have to look at your palm into your phone to see images that are deeply provocative and evoking a certain sense of being when it comes to sexuality and the way that we regard sexuality. And whilst again, I don't think if you wear something provocative that makes you a bad person. No, not the case at all, because it's a life choice. But when we are constantly bombarded by these images and ways of being, it can make our understanding of sex and our relationship with sex a very clouded, hard to understand situation. And the way that yoga will help you, and how it's helped me understand that relationship, is we are energy reservoirs and we take on energy. So when you exchange, for want of a better phrase, bodily fluids with somebody, you are sharing the most ancient, primal, important connection on this earth, which is for reproduction, isn't it? There's, as much as it's enjoyable, the whole goal of that situation, the reason why we are wired the way we are, is for reproduction purposes. Now, I come from a wildlife conservation background, and during that biology, zoology degree, we learned about something called K-selected and R-selected species. And if I can remember correctly, R-selected species, and I've probably got this massively mixed up, but R-selected species are species which have multiple offspring. There is very little energy input. It tends to be things like insects. They'll have like thousands of babies, but will not sort of invest any time into them. And K-selected species are those which have probably like one offspring. So we're talking primates. They invest loads of energy, loads of time in rearing that animal and that baby. And whilst there's a very high mortality rate with this species and this way of this system, this one, if you lose that one offspring, obviously it's really, really bad, because it takes forever to regenerate and get a new offspring. However, that particular system tends to suit mammals because it helps increase that offspring's survival chances. Now, the problem is, humans, obviously we don't have thousands of offspring, so we tend to be more to this side. But equally, we can fit into two categories. We can be, for want of a better phrase, the junk DNA, and I'm going to have to say this is, sorry guys, but this is generally describing your situation, because you can provide lots and lots of DNA, you know what I'm talking about, which can impregnate lots of different people, whereas women, we have this one precious piece of DNA that happens once a month. So we have to be a little bit more pragmatic about what... Oh, I was going to do a gesture then. Let's not do a gesture. But yeah, we have to be slightly more precious about that. And then this is what creates the issue. So we've got, and I'm not saying this is a man and woman thing, but we've got lots of examples of some people having this kind of mindset, will go out, be promiscuous, which is fine, that's the way of life. And then there's this other side that are very monogamous and need and want that very nurturing, we can bring up an offspring very effectively through this method. So, what was I saying? When you obviously have two people that have these two different outlooks, this energy transfer that happens between them when they have sex, it can get very confusing, can't it? And that is where people get hurt, breakups happen, all these kind of things. Now, I am a serial monogamist. I love relationships. I flourish, and I'm the best version of myself in relationships. And I've come to that conclusion through getting to know myself, both on a spiritual level within my meditation, but also, I'm just going to say it on a physical level. Yeah, I did just say it, on a physical level. So I know what suits me and my lifestyle, and I can see that. So what I'm hoping we get at the end of this video is this idea that sex is an energy transfer, and we create energy reservoirs and energy deficits when we exchange bodily fluids with somebody else. And whilst it is perfectly fine to explore your sexuality and to embrace perhaps having multiple partners, I would urge you to find either a meditation practice, a yoga practice, if you are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever religion you are, something spiritual that really resonates with your soul to help you frame what you want from sex. Because if you know deep in your heart that you want that connection, that deep connection with somebody that grows and flourishes over time, i.e. a long-term monogamous relationship, then you know you need to protect yourself from situations where you will be used and abused, okay? And those of you that know that you don't want that, that's okay. That's a different way of living, isn't it? That's your choice. So you, therefore, need to explore that side of yourself, not be afraid of it, but equally you have a responsibility to make sure that you don't seek out the people that are looking for monogamous, long-term committed relationships, because this world, ladies and gents, is horrible enough. And while sex and lovemaking, and I call it lovemaking because for me that's what it should be, is such a beautiful and natural part of our life, let's not make that horrible. And on a last note, with regards to porn, to sort of titillating media, whatnot, my opinions on that is, look, if you want to, that's fine, that is absolutely fine, but just, be aware of the source, okay? So, are the people within that film or photograph, are the models looked after? Do you know, can you vouch for their safety, that they're not being exploited? Because that, how can you watch something if you don't know whether that person that's involved is, having a good time? So, I want to make it very apparent that sex should be talked about, not all the time, and there's definitely moments and appropriate moments to discuss it, but we need to have open dialogues, so we're not afraid of it. And whilst our bodies are temples and they're sacred, sex doesn't have to be solemn, and I think the more that we, in appropriate situations, discuss it and help our young people understand themselves and what their expectations of sex are, then I think we're creating a better society. Because as the saying goes, the real power is the hand that rocks the cradle, isn't it? So let's make sure that the next generation coming up have healthy views about sex and have healthy relationships, whatever they may be for them. So be safe, wear protection, and thanks for listening. I know this is a bit of a excruciating video to watch in some respects. It's never cool when someone slightly older starts discussing sex, but I appreciate you listening, and I hope within this rambling monologue you've been able to extract some points that are going to help and resonate within your life. So I bid you a fond farewell, happy boinking, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye guys.